they're going to teach you to cut them in probably like 1 by 1 inch cubes, all right? And then you throw them in a bowl, you pour some hot water, and then you use a spoon, and you do this, all right, until you get all the cubes to melt, right? And then it becomes a nice big. You guys have seen that?
Mm-hmm.
Don't do it. Don't do that. Because I was taught how to make mozzarella from an Italian. And basically, what happens when you do that is, if you cut them big, it takes forever for the hot water to actually get to the center of that big piece. And so you have to work it and constantly stretch it so that the water gets so that the water actually gets to the center. And by the time you've done that, you've overstretched it, and you've stretched out water and moisture and flavor. And because what you're doing when you mix them together is you're aligning protein chains, okay? And they become this big, long strands. And the more you squeeze them and the tighter they get, the more they squeeze stuff out, all right? It's just, and you'll understand. I'll show you the queso Oaxaca. I'm gonna make queso Oaxaca as well, so that you guys can see the difference. So I cut them small. And back when I did, 100 pounds of mozzarella at a time, I just take this guy and do like that all the way down, and then I had a cookie sheet here on top of the bus duct and just pushed it through. So if you guys ever have to do it, a lot of it. By the way, that's a little trick. If you guys ever have to do mashed potatoes for a bunch of people, throw the potatoes in the oven and roast them like you're doing baked potatoes, and then when they come out, you cut them in half and just push it right through. Great, and the skin just comes off. Has anybody ever seen that?
No.
No? Yeah, that's the way to go. You'll never make mashed potatoes the other way again.
Like
you throw in the bottom of the bowl, you throw the butter, the salt, pepper, whatever you're putting in it, milk, and then you just take your potato, cut it in half, throw it on there, skin it, done. No ricing.
A cookie sheet, you said? Like a rack?
Like a rack, yeah. Yep. Easy way to do it. That's what happens when you have to make mashed potatoes for 1,000 people. You're not going to be sitting there peeling potatoes and boiling potatoes. It's not going to happen.
Ideally, you'd wait for them to cool a little bit, though, right?
No, they're better when they're hot.
All right.
You just get a towel or something. Eventually, you guys will get your hands. What I mean by that is eventually your hands won't have any feeling left in them. You'll be able to touch whatever. All right. Oh crap. So let's mix that water and salt. Now, when you're stretching, I like to pour the water. I like to salt the water first. Some people, you'll see salt in the curd first, but it's not as reliable. And it needs to be salty like the sea, guys, like you're doing pasta. I don't remember the ratio back when I did it, but I think it was like 2.5 ounces per gallon. I think. Don't quote me on that, but which is quite a bit. It's a lot. It's a lot of salt. It needs to be salty. It's good enough. So now, what we're going to do, you have all your curds at the bottom. And if you can get them consistent, get them consistent. These were pieces that were already cut, and the cheese was frozen beforehand. I can tell the curd, which is fine, but you don't get as consistent cuts as I would like. So we're just gonna a little salt in there. So basically, all the curds are covered. That right there. And then you're going to do the hardest thing of all, which is wait. See, if we're in a restaurant, big pieces, right? They're going to dump this water over it, and it's going to be a lot of water. And then you're going to get a spoon, and you're going to do this. And what happens is they start to melt, and it starts to stick to each other. And the gravity pulls, and it makes those bigger pieces smaller. And then eventually you get to the center of that big curd, and you have a nice product. But like I said, you lose a lot. You sacrifice a lot for that. So what you want to do is just want to take one out, gonna smash it. This one still is pretty much holding its shape, so not good. Also not hot enough because I can stick my hand in it. 185 degrees is about where I like to have the water. I think that's a very good temperature for the cheese to melt. It's delicate. It's hot enough for it to melt, but delicate enough for it to not lose butter fat. Because one thing they'll pour boiling water over it. They'll show you, and you'll see fat on the top of the water. You don't want that. You want your fat. You want your mozzarella to stay supple and nice and fatty, and have a lot of water. So now we'll take another one out. Smash it. Kind of smash, but not really. So at this point, I'm actually going to pour some of this water out. I can still stand the water without gloves, so it's not hot enough. Cheese is a hands-on process, guys. One thing I don't miss a whole lot about cheese is that it's actually a lot of physical labor. You know, you're carrying buckets away and water and cheese, you know, milk's heavy and milk is messy. I mean, you can see right here. I mean, milk, cheese is messy. Cheese is very messy. Alright, that's what we're talking about. So now, pick one up. You can see it almost stuck. It's getting better. It's getting there. They're not sticking to each other yet.
And how long will this last, the fresh mozzarella?
About a week. I mean, you want to, if you guys are doing fresh mozzarella in a restaurant, you don't want to stretch it every day. Because it might last a week before it goes bad, but you won't like it. So now you can see it actually just melted by itself, right? There's a raft. It created a raft. It just naturally, just by the force, by the hot water and the gravity of itself, I didn't push it down or anything, right? It just stuck together. Now, we're just going to bring this up towards, no, but because now I got to stretch it. Sorry, I'm eating up all your memory on your phone. Alright. Now, what we're going to do is I'm just going to come and push it against itself, alright? Just like this. And what happens is it just kind of forms a shaggy mass, right? Just barely comes together. And when I say water at 185, that does not mean the water you're putting into it. This needs to be a little hotter. I'm talking about the water you're stretching in is 185 to 190. All right. So the cheese will, you know, of course, bring down the temperature of the water depending on how much, all that kind of stuff. How cold it is. This was just out of the fridge. So. All right. So now I'm just going to fold it, push it again. Fold it again. As you can see, this is a very gentle process. I'm not doing that technique, you know. We're respecting the cheese here. Fresh mozzarella needs to be supple, it needs to be watery, it needs to be a little salty, it needs to be fatty. So from this point, we have not just a shaggy mass, but it's pretty much together. So now, I'm just going to take it, and what you do is you kind of just keep folding it in under itself, and you can push it down. So now you can see it comes together by itself. I don't have to do anything. All right, as I fold it and just gently pull it, look at that. It comes together by itself. I don't need to do anything. I don't need to force it together. It just naturally does that. And essentially, there you go. Once you get that nice sheen, you're good to go. Bam. Done. At this point, who's it first? Take it.
Oh, sweet.
Take it.
Thanks, Chef.
These aren't really pretty. Just showing you guys. First one's pretty good. Yeah. Check that out. That's what we want.
Bat wing.
See how long that took to tear? But it did tear. The thing is, if you guys do this with your spoon, and you do this, then it'll never tear. And you won't be able to pull it like this. You can see the strands, right? You can see.
Pasta
Those are
filata.
those. What's that?
Pasta filata.
Pasta filata. Yep. Okay, so now, showing you guys how to make mozzarella, right? Now, let's go ahead and do queso Oaxaca. Super hot. Now, the way we make queso Oaxaca is we're stretching it and we're stretching it and stretching it. We're overstretching it, okay? String cheese, nobody invented string cheese. They stole it from the Oaxaca cheese, okay? So we want it to get really hot. And now we're just going to start doing that. Kind of like if you guys are doing a peppermint or something, you're pulling sugar, you're pulling taffy. And you can see now it's getting shinier, and the ribbons are much more pronounced. You can see long strands. See that? Look how far that goes now. And you can see how as we pull, more water comes out. Look at the elasticity of that. Pretty cool. You want to keep returning into the water. You can see now actual strands. You can see individual strands of cheese.
So
Now,
you
this is the artisanal way to make queso Oaxaca. This is not like the way they do it in Oaxaca.
so you can be a bit more rough with this because it's.
What's that?
You can be a bit more rough with the Oaxaca because it's starting to.
Yeah, because what we want, Oaxaca's not supposed to be that supple. You taste it was juicy, right? A lot of water when you bite into it, and it has some bite, and it has some resistance, but it's still soft. With Oaxaca string cheese, we don't want that. We want it for its meltability. Look how gorgeous that is. Take this guy. Beautiful, right? So that right there, queso Oaxaca.